Welcome back to the pop culture discussion. It's me, Robert, and yes, I'm still talking about The Last of Us. The Last of Us TV series is an absolute masterpiece. There is no denying that. It's an incredible adaptation from the video game, but is it missing some of the best action sequences from the game? Absolutely. And that is what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the top 10 action sequences from the video game that are not in the TV series. I understand there's budget restrictions and each episode only goes for a certain length of time, but there were definitely a handful of episodes that were only 50 minutes or 45 minutes long, and they absolutely could have thrown in like a 10 or 15 minute action scene from the game into that episode, and they didn't. So I do understand people that were a little underwhelmed that the show wasn't as action-packed as they were expecting. In saying all that, let's get on with the list. Coming in at number 10 is fighting Robert's men with Tess. This is right near the beginning of the game, and it teaches you how to take cover and shoot, and you only really have your pistol at this point. It is still a really fun scene to play, as sure, you are playing as Joel, but you have Tess watching your back, and if you decide to stealth take down the enemies, Tess will do the same, or if you decide to start shooting, she'll do that too. This is just a nice little build-up, having to fight through all of Robert's men, and then finally chasing him through a few buildings, interrogating him, and shooting him in the face, which is really satisfying because he's an absolute jerk of a bloke. None of this is in the show. In the show, they find Robert, he's already dead. They kind of implied a action scene between Robert's men and the Fireflies that we didn't get to see, so at least it was implied. Coming in at number 9 is the Pittsburgh Bandit Crew. For me, this was the first time in the video game that really blew my mind on just how big the levels are and how creative you can get with the amount of space that they give you to play with. You get to take out an entire 2-story building full of bandits, and you can either stealth your way through this building by choking these guys out and stabbing them, or you can run in guns blazing, just wait at the top of the stairs and they'll run in the stairs after you. This was a really intense action scene because there are so many times where you've taken cover, but the enemies can come at you from all different angles, and you have to really get creative, switching between aggressive gameplay and stealth. In the show, we did get some action with Joel killing some bandits, and yeah, those scenes were pretty great, but compared to the amount of times you have to do this kind of thing in the game, yes, the game is way more action-packed. Number 8 is clearing out David's men as Ellie in the cabin resort. So in the show, Ellie just kind of jumps on a horse and rides away from David's men. Her horse gets shot and she gets captured straight away. The game is very similar to this, except when the horse gets shot, you stack it, fall off a cliff, you're still awake, playing as Ellie, and you take out all of David's men. There's a little cabin resort there, and they're all just kind of looking for you. You work your way through all the cabins and just absolutely slaughter them, either in stealth or aggressive gameplay as well. You do have a bow and arrow, a rifle, a pistol, and your knife, but you can also pick up a shotgun from the men that you kill, giving you an aggressive style of gameplay if you want it. And then at the end of all that, you do get captured by David, so it does make sense that in the show, they skipped this action scene and just had you get captured by David immediately. Number 7, defending Tommy's dam against raiders. So in the show, Joel does meet up with Tommy, and they do talk about the dam. In the game, the same thing does happen, but they are attacked by raiders, kind of cutting off their conversation and chucking in this action scene. You do get a really strong pistol at this point in the game. It's kind of a one-shot kill, so it's extremely fun to use, and it's got a scope, so you can just line up enemies' heads and just take them clean out. This is a really fun little action scene running through Tommy's base, clearing out all the bad guys, and plus the fact that Ellie and Tommy's wife are hiding from the bandits, which adds just a little bit of urgency as you're trying to just shred through these guys to make sure you save them in time. I mean, sure, they could have put something like this in the show. Instead of Joel just meeting Tommy at Jackson, he could have met Tommy previously at the dam, had this little action scene here, and then they all could have gone back to Jackson together. Number 6, Ellie and David teaming up to fight infected. This is a really intense, fun action sequence from the game that was absolutely missing in this episode. So in the game, you do take the deer inside of a building with David, and then a heap of infected attack, and you team up with David to take them all out. It's actually quite a lengthy action sequence. You run through this entire destroyed facility together, and it actually makes you think, oh, David's not that bad of a guy. I'm teaming up with him right now. He actually seems all right. And it actually makes you drop your guard for a bit and think, yeah, he's a pretty cool dude. So then later on, when it's revealed that he's actually this horrible creep of a human being and he's a cannibal, it hits so much harder. As we're in the show, Ellie's just got to guard up the entire episode and just hates David from the get-go, even though he's trying to be nice to her. And then it reveals later he's a bad guy and she's like, yeah, cool, I never liked you anyway. So it makes the game hit so much harder because you team up with David for quite a lengthy action sequence. Coming in at number 5 is clearing out Bill's town of infected with Bill. So in the game, you get to Bill's town, you team up with Bill and Ellie to clear out a whole heap of clickers out of town, and then you get to a school and you have to take out a bloater. So much fun, really intense, and Bill is super aggressive. He is a great member of the team to have on your side, and we get none of this in the show. Sure, one of Bill's traps do take out one infected in the show, and Bill and Frank do team up to kill some bandits. But not only do we miss all of this action, we also miss the fact that Ellie and Bill don't get to meet each other. They hate each other. So throughout this entire action sequence, which does span for like an hour or two, those two are constantly bantering. And it is actually so much fun to witness because you're stuck in this horrific situation, clearing out all these infected. You have these two just ripping into each other this entire time, and it makes for quite a comical experience. Number 4, clearing out the infected at the university. So, in the show, they rock up to the university, the monkeys are there, and then they run into some bandits. Yes, the monkeys are in the game, but before you get to the monkeys, you realize the university is still full of infected. Runners, clickers, bloaters, the whole lot. But before you run into them, you pick up a flamethrower. And this weapon absolutely slams. You just bust into the university with this flamethrower and absolutely wreck. Or you can do it in stealth and completely sneak past everyone, and you have to open this door that's jammed, and the second you grab the door, the bloater sees you and just runs straight for you, and you sneak into that door at the last possible second, and it is so scary. Either way, whole lot of fun. We didn't get any of that in the show. I'm not gonna lie, would have been pretty cool if you had to kill a couple of infected when they got to the university. Number 3 is protecting Sam from the stalkers. So in the show, Joel and Ellie team up with Henry and Sam, going underground, finding this underground community, but there's nobody there. They just find all of their stuff. In the game, you get to that same community, go around a corner, a trap goes off, you get separated, you get stuck with Sam, and Henry gets stuck with Ellie. They get chased out of the tunnels by infected, and you're stuck with all the people that were just in that community who've now been infected. And to top it all off, a whole heap of them are stalkers. This is the first time in the game I realized what stalkers were. I think they are in the game before this, but I was just killing them thinking they were either runners or they were clickers. Stalkers kind of look like clickers, but they hide and wait for you and then pounce at you at the last second. So they are way more scary. Clickers will just run straight at you and you're like, oh cool, there they are, shotgun to the face, dead. But stalkers will see you and run away and you're like, oh great. So now when I go around this corner, you're gonna jump on me. I hate that stuff, it's so scary. But at the same time, so much fun to play. For me personally, stalkers are easily the most intense enemy in this game. A little bit of a shame we didn't get to see any stalkers in the TV show. Number 2 is clearing out the infected tunnel just before reaching the hospital at the end of the game. So in the show, Joel and Ellie are heading towards the hospital, the Fireflies see them, throw a grenade, they both pass out, and they wake up in the hospital. That's that. In the game, you have to go through this underground tunnel to get to the hospital, and the tunnel is completely full of infected. Every single type of infected is there. You have multiple bloaters, a whole heap of runners, and a whole heap of clickers. This is the final fight with the infected for the end of the game. So the game is literally throwing all of the infected it can at you. You have every single weapon at your disposal. So the game expects you to just get your best weapons ready and just hold your ground or start running and shooting at the same time. This is an extremely intense and terrifying part of the game. It's absolutely fantastic. And then once you've done that, you get stuck in a bus which is filling up with water. Ellie tries to save you. She obviously can't swim, so you end up saving her, but she's passed out. You try and give her CPR. The Fireflies find you mid-CPR and knock you out. It is so intense. This entire segment just makes your heart race. It's an incredible part of the game, and we didn't get any of it in the show. Coming in at number 1 is a segment I know a lot of people wanted when the show was announced, myself included, and that is starting up the generator underneath the hotel in Pittsburgh. Oh my gosh, this is easily the scariest part in the first game. So up until this point in the game, you have always had someone watching your back. Have it be Tommy, Tess, Ellie, Bill, anyone. You've always been teaming up with someone. You've never been on your own. And then this part of the game, you get separated from Ellie, you fall a heap of stories, you crash into some water, swim around, and realize you're in the basement of this hotel. Not only are you by yourself, but you are stuck with a heap of infected in a little 2-story basement area. It is absolutely terrifying. So first of all, you have to start a generator so you can open the door to get out of this area. The second you turn that generator on, the infected are all gonna come sprinting straight your way. At least some little lights are gonna come on so you can kind of see what you're doing. But to make matters even worse again, you have to find a card to use as a key to swipe on the door to let you out of this room. So yeah, really, really intense stuff. And it is so terrifying. We didn't get any of this in the show. And it's a real shame. I mean, don't get me wrong, episode 5 had a great infected scene, but it would have been really cool to see Joel stand his ground against a heap of infected. I would have said, well, you know, fair enough, we didn't get this. The show is a lot more realistic. Joel takes damage more. It doesn't seem like he's a one-man army. But then we get the last episode where Joel is a one-man army and he clears out an entire hospital full of people. So if Joel can do that, surely he can take out a basement full of infected. This is easily the most horror-heavy segment of the first game, and an action scene that so many people wanted going into this show, myself included. It's a shame we didn't get it, but the scenes with the infected we did get was a lot of fun. Thank you for watching my top 10 action sequences from the video game that wasn't in the TV show of The Last of Us. Do you agree with my list? Did I miss one of your favorite action scenes from the game that didn't make my list? I mean, there are so many in the game. I just picked my personal top 10. But hey, if you've got a favorite, it's not on the list, feel free to comment it down below and let me know what I missed. If you've been enjoying my Last of Us content and you haven't subscribed yet, please click that subscribe button. It means so much and I really appreciate all of the support I get on these videos. Thanks for watching my video and I will see you in the next one.